painting too became ever more theatrical, and in the case of Veronese's version of the Last Supper, gave cause for a drama of power and religion in which the artist became the main character in a conflict with the Inquisition.
Veronese was called before the Inquisition to answer questions about his painting of the Last Supper, a painting that was filled with all sorts of offensive details. There were to be found dwarfs, jesters, animals, and perhaps above all, German soldiers. In the age of the Counter-Reformation, the presence of German soldiers could hardly be accepted with equanimity.
What is the significance of those armed men dressed as Germans, each with a halberd in his hand?
We painters take the same license the poets and the jesters take. The two halberdiers are placed here so that they might be of service, because it seemed to me fitting, according to what I have been told, that the master of the house, who was great and rich, should have such servants.
And that man dressed as a buffoon, with a parrot on his wrist. For what purpose did you paint him on that canvas?
For ornament, as is customary.
Just tell us, who are at the table of our Lord?
The 12 apostles.
What is St. Peter, the first one, doing?
Carving the lamb, in order to pass it to the other end of the table.
What is the apostle next to him doing?
He is holding a dish in order to receive what St. Peter will give him.
Who do you really believe was present at that supper?
I believe one would find Christ with his apostles. But if in a picture there is some space to spare, I enrich it with figures according to the stories.
Did anyone commission you to paint Germans, buffoons, and similar things?
No, my lords. But I received the commission to decorate the picture as I saw fit. It is large, and, it seemed to me, it could hold many figures.
The judgment of the Inquisition demanded that Veronese change the content of his painting. Instead, he changed its title. So for subsequent centuries, Veronese's Last Supper has been known as the Feast at the House of Levi. In this one instance, we see the assertion of Venetian independence, the Republic defying the Roman Church, but also its vulnerability to an outside world of political and economic enemies. Floating on its islands and lagoons, Venice has always been different. The age of Titian, Tintoretto, and Veronese was its last period of political greatness. The 17th century would see the decline of its empire, just as the economic center of gravity of the West was beginning to shift away from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic and the new seaborne empires of Antwerp and London. But in its image of itself, Venice left behind a potent myth which endured its loss of real power, the myth of the ideal state. For it came to personify the best kinds of government, united in one body politic. And Venetian art is uniquely bound up with that history and that myth, above all in its expression of the harmony between human beings, the state, nature, and of course, the artist.
Though siren-like on shore and sea, her face enchants all those whom once she doth embrace. Nor is there any can her beauty prize, but he who hath beheld her with his eyes. These things display, if well observed, how she so long her maidenhead preserved. How, for sound prudence, she still bore the bell. Whence may be drawn this high-fetched parallel. Venus and Venice are great queens in their degree. Venus is queen of love, Venice of polity.